First of all, I sincerely hope that there are not going to be any typos in this. I do need to tell you my very favorite typo story from the years when I was supposed to be proofing the bulletin, right? I missed this one. We announced very solemnly in the church bulletin that God's mother had died last week at the age of 98. Gord was thankfully not offended and was just took it all very much in stride. Two stories, first of all, of people who were paying attention in the middle of their working day. The first one is a biblical character, Moses. Moses was keeping a flock of his father-in-law Jethro, the priest of Midian. He led his flock beyond the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. There the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a flame of fire out of a bush. He looked, and the bush was blazing, yet it was not consumed. Now, the question for you. How long do you think you would need to figure out that a bush was blazing, but the fire was not consuming? How long would you have to look at that before you knew what was happening? Any ideas?
A long time.
Someone recently suggested that you'd have to look closely for about 5 minutes at least before you would know that something strange was going on here. So something caused Moses, the sheep tender, to look at this, and something caused him to look at it long enough to see that there was something strange. Then Moses said, I must turn aside and look at this great sight and see why the bush is not burned up. When the Lord saw that he had turned aside to see, God called to him out of the bush, Moses, Moses. And he said, Here I am. Then God said, Come no closer, remove the sandals from your feet, for the place on which you are standing is holy ground. We are often on holy ground. Our day is infused with God. We can learn to pay attention, as Moses thankfully did in that situation. And then the story of a church administrator who paid attention. It was a cold, windy, rainy Friday morning, the most hectic half day of the work week at church. Ruth was in the workroom, photocopying the bulletin with several inserts, preparing for an important church meeting of some sort. The workroom had a window, but the view of the street was almost completely blocked by a Japanese lilac tree, so there was no point in looking out of that window in the season when the tree was in leaf. But something, perhaps a sound, caused Ruth to glance at the window. And there was a robin sitting on a nest that Ruth had never noticed before. In a way, it was a good place for the robin to build a nest because it was very hidden from the street because of all that foliage, but it wasn't hidden from the workroom window. Ruth called the rest of us to have a look. And remarkably, that mother robin did not fly away. We saw her slip down on that nest, hanging on for dear life. She swayed in the wind as rain pelted down on her feathers hour after hour, and she looked completely miserable. She did not budge, no matter how many times we stopped to have a look. She kept that nest protected, and nothing could distract her from her mission. And one of us remembered the words of an old hymn. Under God's wings I am safely abiding, though the night deepens and tempests are wild. Still I can trust him. I know he will keep me. He has redeemed me, and I am his child. Under God's wings, who from God's love can sever? Under God's wings my soul shall abide, safely abide forever. We were all kinds of tense in the office that day because we had this big meeting coming up and we were all trying to get stuff done for it. And you would think that maybe a distraction like this wouldn't help us get our work done. But it actually put us in a different frame of mind when we put our busy day in a much wider and deeper context when we saw this mother robin as a parable of God's love and care for us in our hectic situation. We are often on holy ground. Our day is infused with God. We can learn to pay attention. Now, I would like us to have some practice now in simply paying attention. I'd like you to go outside for, let's say 10 minutes. It's kind of breezy out there. But let's say 10 minutes. Take the first 5 minutes or so to wander around the church grounds or the cemetery across the side road and let something grab your attention. Could be anything. Could be the stiff breeze of what it's doing to some tree. Could be a bird song or a leaf or the lilac bush or the peace pole or the view from the pavilion, something on a tombstone, whatever. Find something that attracts your attention and just stay with that thing for at least, let's say, 3 to 5 minutes. Look at it or listen to it or feel its texture in detail. And then when we come back inside, describe it. Or if you prefer, you can draw it. And we'll do all this in silence. And then after we do that, you'll have a chance to talk to